Hello, this is Tinley Park trustee and mayoral candidate Jacob Vandenberg. Over the past few weeks, I've learned that my political opponents are attempting a smear campaign targeting me and my role in the complex and controversial Buckeye Development issue. I had sincerely hoped that this issue would not be politicized, and instead we would continue to have an open and honest dialogue with our residents about what happened and how we can make sure it never happens again. But in what is clearly a pattern of how the Tinley First machine operates, they have chosen to operate in the shadows, conceal facts, and speak only half-truths and innuendos about the issue. It's time to set the record straight. Make no mistake, the Buckeye issue and the resulting litigation is complex. But what is not complex and completely unmistakable is that the entire ordeal directly stems from the Tinley First machine's passage of the Legacy Code in 2011. For those of you that don't know what the Legacy Code is, it's essentially a specialized zoning law that applies only to our downtown corridor on Oak Park Avenue. This was the Tinley First machine's attempt to spur economic development in the corridor by providing a watered-down zoning review process for developers that fully complied with the code. Remember, this was passed into law in 2011, and now, 5 years later, there is not a single project of any substance which the code brought to our village. As by reasonable standards, their Legacy Code has been a complete and total failure. Perhaps due to this total abomination of economic development policy, one that embarrassingly brought nothing to our village, the wheels were set in motion in March of 2015 to ram the Buckeye project through without having our newly elected board be able to vote on this passage. I would like to take a few minutes now to lay out some facts for you. It's important to note these are facts that I learned through my own investigation after the fact and require me to FOIA documents and correspondence which was not provided to me. I was elected to office of trustee April 7th, 2015, sworn into office May 4th, 2015. In March of 2015, almost 2 full months prior to being sworn into office as a trustee, Buckeye and village staff began dialogue and identified that first floor commercial required would be an issue for this type of development. This is when the plotting began. In an email dated March 19th, 2015, from David Petroni to Ivan Baker, David Petroni, the project head for Buckeye, stated, "Variances concern me with these types of developments. As you know, this is workforce housing. Why is this important? Under the Legacy Code, the need for a variance would result in public hearings at the Plan Commission and an ultimate vote by the Board of Trustees, while no variance would equal a simple site plan review by the Planning Board. No hearings, no vetting, no public discourse regarding the project. Clearly, the attempt to skirt the proper vetting was underway long before I was elected." Fast forward to April 7, 2015. 3 new residents are elected to serve a 4-year term as trustee. Hours upon hours and meeting upon meeting to bring the newly elected trustees up to speed on all the facets of the village. Nothing about Buckeye Community Hope was ever mentioned. In late April 2015, a number of emails between former Tinley Machine elected officials and staff were sent discussing the project and the need to schedule a meeting with Buckeye. I was not copied in any of those discussions. On May 12, 2015, a meeting takes place at Village Hall with former Mayor Zabrocki, Dave Seaman, the village manager, the planning director, and David Petroni. Conveniently, I was not invited to that meeting. I can only assume that I was being intentionally kept in the dark. The contents of the meeting have not been discussed to date. June 15, 2015, the village manager to the board. A few updates. IDA has approved low-income tax credit financing for the proposed senior affordable housing facility on the St. George and Bettenhausen property. A similar request from Buckeye Development for a rental project at 183rd was denied. It is important to note this email above was not specific to the affordable project. It was mentioned in the body of an email. Also on June 15th, in an email correspondence from Petroni to the village planning director, dialogue about the zoning compliance letter. Amy, wondering if we can meet on Thursday to finalize our zoning and comp plan letter. Again, no mention of including me in the meeting or consulting me about a zoning compliance letter. Through June and July, I was involved in the E&B liquor store project slated for Oak Park Avenue. During this time, many topics arose about allowed and prohibited uses throughout the Legacy Code. My main concern was to add packaged liquor stores to the prohibited use category in the Legacy Code. This was determined after deliberating with staff as well as hosting 2 community meetings. During this time of drafting the text amendments, much of the conversation stemmed around tobacco, hookah, and packaged liquor sales, as well as used car lots. Very limited conversation was had about the wording relating to first floor commercial required to allowed. This is all validated by reviewing the Planning and Zoning Committee minutes from September 1st, 2015. All of the board members were present. At no time was it ever discussed with me or at any Plan Commission meeting that modifying the first floor commercial requirement in the Legacy Code would give large-scale commercial developments the green light to build 100% residential projects all throughout our downtown without a public hearing or board approval. For the rest of the 2015 summer, conversations amongst myself and village staff derived around the outstanding issues with liquor stores and tobacco, cigar, and hookah lounges. Nothing was discussed about Buckeye moving forward. In October 2015, a bus trip took place around the town, allowing for open discussion about the areas of needed attention. During the trip, a comment was made by the village manager that the vacant piece of land at 183rd and Oak Park Avenue was potentially going to be the site of a multifamily development that had an affordable housing aspect to it. This brief comment did not trigger any concern about the project for me. As I've said all along, my issues have nothing to do with the type of housing Buckeye is proposing to build. If they comply to our code, our process, and provide commercial opportunities to help grow our downtown corridor, then they have the right to build. Fast forward to an email, October 15, 2015, an email forwarded from the village manager, subject line, IDA approved LIHTC, to the entire board. It reads, the proposed Buckeye project at 183rd and Oak Park Avenue has received IDA funding. Till this point, the board, including myself, were unaware that this project would have no commercial component to it. Then in January 2016, the Plan Commission was presented the Buckeye Community Hope Development. Like many other commission items, I have received a packet of information about the specific development. The Plan Commission heard from the petitioner, and no comments or concerns were made about why there was no commercial space and what impact it might have on our downtown corridor. No conversation was had regarding ingress, egress points. No conversation was had regarding water retention issues. These are staples of our regular zoning hearings and were not addressed here. It was at this point I began to question how this could be. How can this project, or any project of this magnitude, not have a public hearing and come before the board for a vote? So I decided that we needed more time to investigate and vet this matter, and how the process of it came to be. As I've said from the very beginning in a public meeting, my concerns had nothing to do with the nature of the Buckeye project, but rather the skirting of our normal process. After reviewing all the emails, I was left with little doubt that something underhanded had occurred. My investigation has led me to believe that I was deliberately kept in the dark about the project and the attempt to have it approved without proper vetting. I believe the mess we are in is a direct result of the failed economic policy of the Legacy Code and the clear pattern of behind-the-door deal-making that has become completely synonymous with the Tinley First regime. Unfortunately, this lack of transparency, which has been going on way too long, continues under Mayor Seaman, and extends not only to the residents, but to the fellow board members. When I stood up to the mayor and staff and questioned the process, they promised me an investigation. Today, as I address you, there is still no investigation. Now, after all this backdoor dealing and hidden agendas, they want to somehow shift the blame to me because I and my fellow board members, Brian Yonker and Mike Pinito, dare to stand up to them to protect our process. We need an open and honest government that we can believe in, not the one that favors insiders and backroom deals. I'm running for mayor because we need open, honest representation, and we deserve the truth, not the innuendo and false narratives created by political insiders. We must demand our government keep us, the citizens, informed. That is the transparency that I promise you, and I will bring it. Thank you very much.